So Nigeria's electricity sector is rocking right now as Fidelity Bank pulled the plug on the shares of Kano, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, and Benin power distribution companies, which were deposited as collateral for financing. The industry regulator, or the NERC has stepped into the restructuring that is now being perfected, while the central bank has also been placed on notice to ensure a proper handling of the issues involved. So let's dig for more insights into this latest development now with Rumundaka Wonodi. He is the founder and CEO at ZKJ Energy Partners and the founding CEO of the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company, or NBET. It's good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming through this evening.
Thank you, boss, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate the coming in through at a very short notice. Unpack the latest development for me in the power sector. What exactly is at the core of this restructuring piece of news?
Well, I think that in simple terms, the government side of the industry is coming together to put some discipline in the sector. If you know, for the past couple of years, the Central Bank of Nigeria has been funding the industry, has been supporting the industry, working with NERC, working with the BPE, and just trying to get the sector to where it could be more viable. And this month, contracts have been put in place. There's activation of contracts to a capacity of 5,000. And I think that what the government is looking to do is to force the industry and make sure that it's playing with partners who are committed to, turning the tides of the electricity industry. So this is something that's been expected over the time. As far back as 2017, NERC put in place the business continuity regulation, which would allow it to step in and cure any defects within any of its licensees. And that is what it's been done in this case. So there are 4 discos affected. 3 of them by collateralized shares, that of Fidelity. So that would be Benin, Kano, and Kaduna. And then the 4th one is Port Harcourt. In the first 3, NERC says that we've been advised by a third party, and that's in line with the business continuity regulations, by a third party, that something already has gone in here, and therefore, based on that, we had to step in and appoint a management. In the case of Port Harcourt, is that by observation, it has seen that things were not looking very good. There's insolvency issues, and then it took a preemptive action of stepping in, changing the board, and then appointing new management. So, so what you see, it's a discipline coming to the sector on the back of the business continuity regulations that NEC had put in place far back in 2017.
Is the latest development, Wonodi, an indication of a deeper problem in the downstream sector of the power industry?
But I would not say it's an indication. I think if there is anything, it's actually an indication of a solution coming. The discipline that it's been needed in the sector has been lacking, and people have been wondering how long this would take to come. So seeing this, I think that if you go to most of the industry platforms, most people have said that, this is late in coming, but at least it's good that we're beginning to see some alignment of interest towards doing what is good for the industry and for the country when it comes to electricity.
But we hear you talk about insolvency in 1 or 2 cases with the discos. I'm sure you remember the Yola Electricity disco had to be, the owners dropped their licenses and they had to be resold. So how much issues do you think exist in this industry right now as far as the power companies are concerned? Even the government is a key shareholder.
Well, one basic thing is that most of the companies are over-leveraged. They have too much debt, both from acquisition and the ones that have come over the past 6-7 years since privatization. So we had issues, commercial losses, and not making payments to NBET as at when due. So the discos, their balance sheet, is just full of debt and very little equity in those. So what you would expect is that somewhere along the line, something has to be done about the amount of debt that is in these entities. Maybe you have to restructure them, maybe the lenders or whoever will have to take a haircut, or at least do some restructuring so that the debt servicing will not be onerous on these companies, and make space for equity to build out the business.
Well, one of the things being said over the past few years was that there's no cost-reflective tariff, that if there is cost-reflective tariff, everything will be fine. Is that a solution? Is that a silver bullet?
No, cost-reflective tariff is very important. It's quite important. But more important is supply. You know, you have to make the investments that would actually bring power to homes and businesses, to the consumers. And if those investments are not made, then there is really no power for a cost-reflective tariff. And I just want to point out with this opportunity, you see, what was expected of the distribution companies is what Geometric is doing in Aba. They've invested and built 4 new substations, adding to the 3 there. They've built 110 kilometers of 33 kV and 11 kV distribution lines. All the other discos, none has made that investment. And if you don't make the investment, you can't get the supply to the people, and then the cost reflective just becomes a cost of nothing produced. So it's important that the investments are made to get power to the people, and that's why, you know, so many of us are quite not happy with the slow pace around the Presidential Power Initiative, the one that's being worked out with Siemens, because that is actually what the industry needs. We need to make investments in substations, transformers, distribution lines, and transmission to get the power to the consumers. And once you have that, you know, this is a natural monopoly. Once you have people dependent on the supply, then it's much easier to talk about the tariff. I know they go hand in hand, but, you know, tariff is important, but you need the supply. You need the electricity to pass through the meters.
Okay, so government is an investor. Then you got private investors in the discourse, as it were, and then you've got to have tariff at the other hand. So do you think we need a comprehensive review or reform of the entire electricity sector? What do you think, what needs to be done, and how urgent is it?
What needs to be done is that investment needs to be made. I don't know that there is a review or comprehensive review of the reform. As we keep moving along, the regulator needs to do what it needs to do, especially with BP that continues to hold some shares in there. I think that for me, what is critical in this industry is that the regulator needs to be strengthened. Over the past years, we've seen where the regulator, you know, puts out a regulation, an order, and is being challenged by the court, and it just throws everything. You know, all progress made is just wasted. So the most important thing is that there is an amendment of the Act that is ongoing, and I hope that it makes the regulator stronger so that there'll be more discipline within the industry. That is very key and important to me.
Quickly, in about 30 seconds, where do you think we can get the kind of investments we need to turn things around in the power sector?
Oh, well, I think that what the government is doing is key. If there is a shareholder loan that could come from government, that is the best way, because right now it is challenging to get private capital into the distribution companies, either as debt or equity. If we can get some shareholder loan into the companies and then get solid management, technical partners to build out the business, and then when it becomes viable and stronger, then you can see private capital come in and take out those shareholder loans from the government. I think that it should come from the government at this moment, and that's what the government has seen and, you know, maybe keen to do.
Okay, we really appreciate your insights into these latest developments in the Nigerian electricity industry. Thank you so much, Rumundaka Wonodi, founding CEO of the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company and the founding CEO at ZKJ Energy Partners. Thank you so much for your time.